Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Becoming Anchored podcast for episode 2. We are so excited that you're here with us today. I am Lauren Jackson.
And I'm Laura Deneen.
Yeah, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. We're two therapists in the Middle Tennessee area. We're located in Brentwood. We are in a small group private practice with 8 other therapists. So there are 10 of us total in the group. We primarily treat eating disorders, disordered eating at an outpatient level. We work with really anything and everything in between, anxiety, depression, grief, loss, life transition, OCD, and then just navigating the difficulties of life together. We work with anybody through the lifespan, male, female, and so we just truly enjoy and love and honor the work that we get to do with our clients. And we're so excited to start this new way of connecting with you all, which is this podcast platform. So we're back for our second episode, and we're really excited to jump into the content that we have for you all today.
Yeah, and the purpose of this podcast, just to echo Lauren, is twofold. First, we really want to first and foremost be authentic and relatable and share about our lived experiences. And then secondly, we want to offer some of our therapeutic wisdom. And so, the Becoming Anchored podcast is really this idea that we have never arrived, that we can always learn and grow. And that's something that as a company, through Anchored Counseling Company, we really value in our staff. And really, we take this posture of, I think, humility with our clients as well, in the sense that we're always learning and growing, and we're here just to ride the waves of life and the ups and downs with y'all. And so that's really the purpose of this podcast. So today we're actually going to be talking about navigating friendships in adulthood.
Quick disclaimer before we get started. We'll just say this at the beginning of every episode. This isn't intended to be therapy. This really is intended for informational purposes only. So though we are licensed therapists, we're not your therapist. If you are in the Middle Tennessee, Brentwood area and you're seeking out therapy, please reach out to us. If you do find that as you are listening and engaging with us that you would benefit from your own therapy and you're not local, please reach out to anybody local who's licensed that could help you in your therapeutic journey.
Navigating friendships in adulthood. Whew, this is a big topic.
It is. It's a tough one as adults, particularly when you are an adult and you're trying to make friends. I often find with some of my adult clients, there's shame around not having like that core group of friends that you kind of have grown up with and have been through, seasons in life with through high school and college, and you're still this group of best friends, which is so great that some people experience that and have that, and what a wonderful thing, right? And that's not everybody's reality. That's not my reality. And I have personally felt and experienced different seasons of shame around that and different seasons of grief around that, and then from there we embark on this journey of trying to figure out as adults, maybe with a family, with perhaps a full-time job or a part-time job or whatnot, trying to make friends and trying to figure out where to find good friends. And that is something that both Laura and I have had to do at some point in our adulthood. And it's not easy, and it is an endeavor that is worth investing in.
Yeah, the shame. So remember that shame is that response that says that I'm bad or a part of me is bad. I think that's really common in terms of what our clients report, and even an emotion that I felt around friendships. And then I would add to that loneliness. I think a lot of people that are in our office are lonely, and that's just so hard. And, thinking back to when I was a little girl growing up, my husband and I were talking about this the other day, but it's like friends are kind of provided for you in school and elementary school, middle school, high school. And if you go to college or even further education, it's like you have this like group of people that's provided for you, versus like when you become a working adult, you go to work and you go home, and you may have the luxury of, going to meet a friend for dinner, but not everyone maybe has that luxury, or maybe they need to get home to take care of their child, or maybe they can't afford to go out to eat, or whatever it might be. And so, yeah, it's just different when you become an adult. And I think these are the nuances that we as a society don't talk enough about. A couple things that I experienced when I first started therapy, I remember that I had these thoughts, maybe what we would call cognitive distortions. So another way of thinking about that is just faulty thinking. I thought that when I made a friend, I was supposed to be in relationship with that person forever. And then it was devastating to me when friendships ended, or friendships kind of fell away naturally because we moved out of state and we were no longer seeing each other on a daily basis. And so I've had to work through just my own shame around those friendships that have maybe fallen away, or friendships that haven't worked out where there's no longer safety in that relationship, or whatever it might be. And even as a working mom who owns a company, it's a lot to keep up with friends in my adult life and to work full time. And so I would definitely say that my circle of friends has gotten smaller over the years, and working through my own feelings around that and has just been tricky. And so those are some of the things that come to mind. So just that magical thinking of like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be friends with everyone forever, and or I'm supposed to be best friends with everyone, or whatever it might be, has been so true for my experience.
Yeah.
Especially during my 20s. I'm in my almost mid 30s now, but that was really things that I had to work through in therapy in my 20s.
Yeah. Yeah. I would imagine that some people listening can probably relate to that for sure, because I certainly can. One of the friendship relational patterns that I always seemed to get myself into growing up, so when I was younger, that followed me into adulthood, was always being like the middle man, if you will, in relationships and friendships in particular. So somehow I always found myself in these groups of like 3 friends. So it's like I would always have like 2 other friends, and I would be the middle one. So I would be like the peacekeeper and the go-between, and just making sure that everyone was okay. And maybe it wasn't always 3 people. Maybe there were some more, but I was always the one in the middle. And that, I mean, this is an episode for another day, but that speaks to like the role I played in my family and all of that. Anyways, so that pattern of peacekeeper within friendships definitely, like I said, followed me into adulthood. And I found myself navigating some tricky relational situations that I was just kind of like fed up having. And I remember, and so part of being that peacekeeper, which again, I'm pretty sure that probably there's somebody out there listening that can relate to that, and can feel with me in that. But as I was navigating these friendships, and I was in therapy at the time, and I still see that same therapist. Some of the best advice she gave me, and I'm putting that in air quotes because we know that therapists aren't supposed to give advice, but the best some of the best therapy I got from her was just this simple idea of, what if, Lauren, you don't like work so hard in these relationships to keep the peace and to make sure everybody's okay and to make sure everybody's happy, because A, you're probably ignoring your own feelings and needs, and B, how's that actually like helping the relationship? Because you're probably working harder than other people, the other parties. And if you take a step back and let the relationship unfold naturally, I wonder what would happen. And so for me, the risk of potentially losing the relationship felt worth it because I was just tired of that cycle. Like I got to the point where it just wasn't working for me anymore. And so the risk was worth it. And sure enough, some of these relationships, I'm thinking of two people in particular, the natural progression of the friendships, they fizzled. And yes, there's a grief in that. And there's a part of me that feels some relief in that because I broke that cycle, and that gives me room and space to have better friendships now, which is true for me. So I say all of that because, because friendships, as like Laura was saying, as children and teens, there's a bit of an ease to them because we're kind of provided, if you will, a group of people to kind of choose from to be friends with, whether that's in high school or, your dance classes or whatever. And then in adulthood, that just isn't necessarily reality anymore. And so there's more, it almost feels like there's a little bit more weight to the friendships that we have as adults because there's more risk in losing friendships because they're harder to find, and there's more risk in trying to gain friendships because they're harder to get. And so it feels a little bit like this double-edged sword. And the process of it all is worth doing that kind of inner self-work around, because when we do find those really good quality friendships, the benefit that we get from it is, I don't know the word I want to use, healing. It's just really profound. And so with all of that, I would say too that the quality of our friendships as adults probably is more significant than the quantity of friendships that we have as adults, which can also be maybe a shame point for some people, me included in my own experiences. Is navigating friendships as adults is like, oh, I only have a few really, really good friends. I don't have a lot of friends, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I give you permission to be okay with that too.
Yeah, I love all of this. And I think it just is so healthy. Because I am definitely someone that in the past have really focused on the quantity. And I would say in some of that quantity, there was quality, but maybe that perception piece mattered more to me than the quality of the relationships. Like, are other people seeing how many friends I have in my circle? Yeah, I got myself, just in terms of that pattern that you disclosed, thank you so much for sharing that. I think I got myself into relationships where it was like too much too soon. And I had these patterns of my friendships where, then a year into the friendship, or 6 months or 8 months or however long into the friendship, I started to feel bothered by things like my boundaries weren't respected, or I would say no, and then I would be pushed into this event. And that was a little bit more of my cycle, was feeling like the friendships were more intense versus intimate, and the intensity of really like diving really deeply into a friendship, versus truly kind of testing the water, so to speak, and navigating more of life together. And some of that builds trust, right? That, okay, I can trust this person to show up well for me, and I can trust that they're going to respect my boundaries, and I can trust that it's safe to have differing opinions about things, and that person loves me and cares for me no matter what. So as I look back on some of the patterns that I've done, you know, that has stood out to me in a friendship. So yeah, we want to talk about maybe ways to just really evaluate your friendships. I had a supervisor when I was first becoming a therapist and in my early days as a therapist, who talked to me about, if I was going through a change in a friendship, and I remember I think I was crying in a supervision session with her, and she just really spoke into me just around, hey, Laura, some of our friends are going to be our leaf friends, some are going to be our branch friends, some are going to be the trunk, some are going to be the roots. And so I loved this picture that she provided because it was so validating for my experience, that some people naturally, when the seasons change, they fall away. And then we have maybe more people that are with us hopefully for our lifetime, that are more the root friends. And that just gave me permission. I think you used that word before, Lauren, or something along those lines, but permission to be okay with, okay, I'm going to have some people that are more my root and my trunk friends. And then some people are just going to naturally be in my life for a season, and I can be grateful for that season, and I can also maybe challenge myself not to sit in shame that they're more of a branch friend or a leaf friend. So that analogy, that picture of that tree was really freeing and a part of my journey just in navigating friendships as an adult.
Yeah, and something that, going along with this analogy, that has been helpful for me too in adulthood and in navigating friendships and trying to make some friends, because we all have this internal desire and need to connect with people, and to connect with different kinds of people, right? Outside of love connecting with my husband, I love connecting with my mom and dad because they live so close, and there's a part of me that wants to connect with girlfriends, right? Like just my friends or a friend, and giving myself permission to kind of let go of this belief that any friend that I have, kind of like Laura was saying earlier on in the episode, any friend that I have to be friends with them for forever, right? Or any friend that I have as an adult has to be really, really deep, and has to be really, really, we have to be really, really close. I'm finding that there are actually times and places that I am in need of like a branch friend, or I am in need of a leaf friend. And that type of connection or that type of encounter can be just as significant, and is just as significant as in developing and cultivating a really deep friendship with someone. And so giving myself permission as an adult to let branch friends be branch friends, and that's okay, has been helpful for me.
Yeah, it's like it takes the pressure off, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know, and Lauren, you know this about me because you know me well, sometimes my personality can feel like a little bit of a pressure cooker. Like I have to do all these things, and I've got these big goals and dreams, and I think with friends too, that can show up in my own life. And so what you're describing takes some of the pressure off.
Yeah.
And just this idea, I love this idea of just like permission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Permission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And friendships we're just here to say friendships can just be tricky. In the therapy world, we talk a lot about how the fact that we are oftentimes hurt in relationships. So that can be from our family of origin. It can be from friendships that have gone awry, or, things that have been said. And then we can also heal in relationships. And so my dearest, closest friends have been so healing for me. And just the way they respond when I mess up has been so healing for me. Literally 2 days ago, I said something to my best friend, and I didn't mean to bring up a painful memory for her, but I did. And inadvertently, my daughter was screaming, and she is now in this phase where she's like unscrewing her milk cap, and there was milk all over her crib. And anyway, I was on the phone with my best friend, and I said something that brought up a painful memory for her, and just her ability to show me grace around that. And we talked through it. We were able to really work through that. Was so healing for me, because I haven't always had that experience where I've been extended grace. And I also conversely have probably not done a great job at that either in times in my friendships. And so just us being able to navigate that situation together, like literally 48 hours removed, was just so powerful. And yeah, we can heal in our relationships with other people. We can heal in our friendships. That can be an opportunity for us. So if you guys are struggling in your friendships, we see you. And I think sometimes, I know as a client, I've had the privilege of working with different therapists in Nashville. And sometimes I can hold my therapist on a pedestal and just be like, oh my gosh, she's so perfect. And we're just here to say that we are not perfect. We have, I'll take ownership. I have messed up in friendships. I have done things that have hurt other people. And I'm actively trying to look at those things and be curious about those things and change things so that moving forward, I hurt people less, and so that I'm a better friend as well. And so we're not perfect. We don't do friendships perfectly. And we're just here to offer y'all that compassion as well.
So as you continue on this podcast journey with us, you will probably notice a pattern in how we kind of move through these episodes. And so around this point in the episode, we want to offer an affirmation, a kind of nugget of hope for you to take home with you. We're called Becoming Anchored, and we have this hope and this desire for us and you all to be on this journey, all of us to be on this journey together and becoming anchored in hope. And that's just what it is, a journey, right? It's not this destination we're trying to reach. It's this journey that we're on, and we want to be on it with you guys. And so I want to leave you all with a quote by our wonderful Laura Deneen. So we have blogs that we write, and they're on our website. Go check them out. There are all kinds of topics on there. Wonderful, wonderful resources. But our wonderful Laura wrote a blog recently on navigating friendships. And I wanted to leave you all with these words that she offers at the end of this blog post. I trust my intuition in discerning the quality of my friendships, allowing myself to feel peace and joy in the company of true friends. So just take that with you as a hope for today as you continue navigating what friendships are in your life as an adult.
Yeah, and your additional homework for today, in addition to the affirmation, is just going to really be to be curious. So the key to curiosity is to approach it open-handedly without judgment or shame, but to be curious about your friendships. So are there people in your life that you want to reach out to more, or maybe people that you feel you may need to take a step back from, but really be intentional about looking at your friendships? Or maybe can you challenge yourself to go to some sort of extracurricular activity, whether that's a book club or a hiking club or whatever it might be in your area, we really challenge you to figure out what you need as a result of listening to this podcast. So thanks so much for being here for this episode. We wish all of you well. Take care.
Bye, guys.